Hello, my dogs and cats and those in between. This is Leaf, and today I will be reading Broken Piece of Paradise, Chapter 5. The fandom of this is Murderbot Diaries, and the tags and warnings are it's a original combat unit characters, comfort unit characters, sec unit characters, and human original characters. This is a completely OC adventure, and there is a major character death, and also the corporation rim is terrible. During the approach to the wormhole, Tansy didn't want to talk as much. Lucky offered its hands to her with the exact same gesture that she had made, and she held its hands for a moment. "They will not be able to fire," it told her. "I have protected you." 10 minutes from the wormhole, Lucky said, "They have not tried to fire, or at least there is no message indicating that weapon size has begun processing the song." "That's good, right?" "It is good. I means that they want something from us that gives us leverage. Except, of course, that we actually don't have a super terrifying tank on board." "It is not a tank, but in any case it would be unwise to give Tarash anything he wants. Giving up a weapon would be foolish. Giving up the children will not happen. It is possible that you can get Tarash to leave you alone. I have listened to negotiation, but never done it before. Or it may be possible to make ourselves so incredibly inconvenient that we will become unprofitable. There is roughly 20% chance that Supervisor Tarash will turn back at the wormhole in the interest of making sure that Nakora does not get the credit for anything back on Acquired Asset 96. Tansy frowns. That sounds like something with too many variables to get good odds on. Maybe. She hadn't done that well in her math class. Her parents had been very careful to praise her at what she did do well, her warmth and her empathy, but Tansy has always felt the sting of being not brilliant. There had always been this tension for the colonists, between wanting to make the colony a gentle, egalitarian place, and the fact that the people with high aptitudes were important to keep it running, and Tansy hadn't been. "I did say roughly," Lucky said. "Depending on how I look at the variables, it's all jittering all the way from 2% to 35. It's possibly more accurate to say there's not much of a chance, but I wouldn't call it impossible. But I think best in numbers." Tansy chewed on her lip for a moment. Then she said, "Do you have a computer in your head?" "That's one way to put it. I keep forgetting how ignorant you are of everything." Tansy sat back, stung. "That was not meant to be a personal judgment." "Well, it came out like one." Tansy snapped, and immediately regretted it. "I am serene," she told herself. "The emotions flow over me, and that is okay. They will pass." And even before the emotions passed, that was no excuse for being a fuck-end about it. There was too many things going on. Tansy did not have the luxury of getting personal. Lucky was silent. Lucky was silent and seemed to be experimenting with several different frowns, pensive, confused, analytical, and if this took extreme analysis, finally it ventured, "I apologize." The frown it had settled on was somewhat hunted and haunted, as if it was expecting retaliation of some sort. Tansy sighed. "I'm sorry. I'm on edge and I shouldn't take it out on you." That got her a generally surprised look, and then increasingly pleased, as if she had just done something worth noticing. "Do you wish to come to the playroom, or to an unoccupied area? I can show you one of the things inside my head that I don't hate." The playroom was occupied, of course. Tans and Istar had brought all the kids down to have fun and a free morning, because Well, nobody was going to say it, but because this was one of the times where they could die. Kids caught tension, of course. Istar was separating an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old when Tansy and Lucky came in. Lucky looked up at the situation, and might have seen a suppressed misery on Istar's face, because it walked over, picked up both combatants, tugged each of them under one arm, facing away from each other. "Hey, put me down!" Jazz K protested.
"I am very interested,"
Lucky said,
"to find out if you can fight while facing away from each other."
"I can call her a drippy dipper because she is. I'm not. You're mean. You called me a word. Motherfucker doesn't begin with an A." Istar covered their face and cracked up. Istan closed his eyes, struggling to control a grin. "It would have to be the little one, wouldn't it?"
"Actually,"
Lucky said,
"you two could help me with the project if you're willing to stop fighting and see something interesting."
Jazz K twisted to look up at it. "You're just saying that to make me stop fighting."
"I am."
"Well, I won't."
"I think you're underestimating the amount of time I can stand here."
Lucky set its feet slightly apart, took a very solid stance that made Tansy think of a martial artist making sure they couldn't be knocked backwards. "You can't hold me all day," Lark, the 5-year-old, thrashed back and forth, trying to gain momentum with a motion that looked somewhat like a kid trying to get onto a higher swing, only much less controlled and sideways.
"Are you willing to bet on that?"
Betting against someone literally named Lucky, Tansy thought, might not be the best move. But at the same time, that wasn't settling anything. "Jazz," she started. The light went out, but so did the gravity, just for an instant. The ship seemed to lurch sideways, for a definition of sideways that Tansy's stomach was not completely prepared to deal with. She fell over onto the foam building materials, which was not good, onto Kite, which wasn't. Several people started screaming. The lights came on, revealing only Lucky on its feet, standing in the middle of the room, like the triumph winner of some unexpected brawl. Tansy worriedly turned, still carrying 2 children the way someone might tuck up a lawn chair under their arm.
"Are you all right?"
"I'm okay. She would send everyone hysterical if she said shot. Was that a conquistador thing?"
"No, modern ships do not do that. But it seems like that wormhole entry was successful. Ladybug is pleased, or at least I think that is a primitive satisfaction process."
Tansy blinked. "Ladybug?"
"You recall that I said the Horizons computer reminds me of a cute, tiny round fauna? I ran a search for that fauna that are sufficiently cute and tiny and round. I awarded stars in each category, and ladybugs had an ideal average score. Many fauna decrease in roundness as they mature, but ladybugs actually increase in roundness. I found that a favorable trait in tiny fauna."
Tansy laughed heavily. "You're so weird. I mean that positively," she added hastily.
"Weird is positive?"
"It can be." A small smile.
"I am glad I am sufficiently weird,"
Lucky said.
"I don't think the kids remember," Inez said, coming up beside Tansy and Lucky. "But what were we going to show them?"
"Trajectories."
Lucky said.
"Because of my augments, I am very, very good at trajectories."
It went to the toy chest, pulled out a rubber ball, and bounced it gently off the wall.
"I was going to show off to your Aunt Tansy."
It transferred the ball to its left hand. Then it threw at the far wall hard, a motion that Tansy barely saw. The ball slammed into the wall, ricocheting to the front wall, then bounced twice in the corner behind Lucky. Lucky reached up to a place above its left shoulder with its right hand, not looking. The ball slammed into its palms. Tansy applauded, and several of the children cheered. Inez followed their applause behind with a beat, looking unsure. Do another, Jazz K shouted. At the same time, Lark and Tam yelled, Do it again and again!
Again or another?
Lucky asked. Again, then another? That was Kite with the compromise. Good for him. Lucky nodded, then hurled the ball. As far as Tansy could tell, this one followed the exact same trajectory, bouncing off the same spots on the wall. The kids cheered, and then a different pattern of bounces, far wall to ceiling to behind its hand. Lark jumped up and down. Do it again! Actually, Tansy said hastily, I think Inez is a bit nervous about flying things through the air. We'll do it again another time. It took until much later in the day, after Tansy at least tried to get the kids to settle down enough to do their afternoon class, that Lucky had the chance to hear her talk again. Lucky had enjoyed a long talk with the captain. Tansy had not been invited, but 2 hours had to represent an epic amount of headbutting. Then it elected to sit on the class with Tansy's permission, because, as it said, it knew less about the colony history than the youngest children did. So, the people from Ilaria, Tansy summed up, had a lot of ideas about how to make society fair and rational, but only some of them stuck with us. They had a base 12 system because it's easier to divide and multiply in. But we mostly see that where, Jazz? Which Jazz? The girls had perfected the art of saying that in perfect unison, with a long, suffering bored tone. Jazz B. Measurements! Exactly. When you cook, 12 cups makes a pot. When you measure, 12 inches makes a foot. A lot of people, Tansy included, think we just make it more complicated for ourselves. But a sudden memory of an argument slammed into her. She was left breathless for a moment, her and Ardaru, sitting on the porch swing that Ardaru's dad had painstakingly welded together from scrap metal, giggling idly about the city old base 12 thing, because as often as not that was what came up in the colonial council, and Ardaru attended religiously. Ardaru saying that one day everything from porch screens to houses would be made of wood, and you wouldn't have to put a towel over the metal on a hot summer day. Tansy tried picturing that, and failed. All the trees were far too precious. The biggest scolding she had gotten as a child was stripping the leaves off of a maple branch. She had never particularly had the impulse to get together romantically with Ardu, but no matter how many people suggested it, her dad in particular had the subtlety of a chemical rocket launch, plus the apparent belief that he was being extremely discreet. But Ardu had been a good friend, and now he was left on a planet where... Aunt Tanny, are you all right? Just lost in thought, Tanny said. We'll talk more history tomorrow, okay? She hit the chime on her desk, since so far nobody had the time to pipe in a chime through the intercom. Go have fun, guys. Lucky joined her by her desk.
Are you all right?
Just memories. Not painful memories, just... I miss them a lot. People back on Asperia. She rubbed the corner of her eyes with her knuckle discreetly. Hopefully discreetly. So much of her energy was focused on not breaking down in front of the kids. They need you strong. Needed her strong, but she was fucking weak. That was part of the problem.
Was Inez all right?
Lucky said, and Tansy looked back at it.
About the trajectories?
I think you can expect Inez to blow hot and cold on you a bit, Tansy said.
I don't know what that means.
Alternate emotions, or very complicated one. Everyone in the colony knew why Inez sometimes recoiled from trusting people, especially someone that she liked at first, but Lucky didn't. Tansy wasn't sure she could tell it. And since a long time ago, she really hates conjuring tricks or anything that she's intended as a quick way to get kids to like a person. She's wary of people who work very hard in making their public face likable or popular. I think she thought that the thing with the ball was a magic trick, Tansy considered. It felt kind of like a magic trick.
It was not intended to be a quick way to get children to like me,
Lucky said. A pause.
For whatever reason, I wanted to show off to you.
Oops, that sounded like the beginning of romantic interest. Was Tansy intended to take it that way. Lucky was worried from an entirely different set of cultural scripts, and Tansy didn't know how to parse them yet. Even if it was romantic interest. If it was romantic interest, what would she do about it? Lucky was physically impressive, and there was no doubt that, and attractive, when it was looking at you with its sweet, expressive blue eyes, rather than cold, flat blue eyes, stumbling into one of its barriers, was like running straight into a brick, even when its face looked different somehow. Under the ever-present long-sleeved shirt there was undoubtedly muscles to spare, and there was a curious wondering sincerity to it that caught Tazzy's heart somehow, except when it talked about killing a ship with 300 people on it, and didn't seem to assign much more significance to the act than getting a cup of tea. Never asked me where I encountered children before. Okay, so maybe she needed to know more about it before she got sort of judgment call and romance. Start by making more friendship gestures, getting to know it. Show off successful, Tansy said lightly. Do you want to get some tea in the cafeteria? Possibly a snack? Because I'm pretty sure you skipped lunch with everything going on. I did. And fuck it. That was apparently a cue to change its expression to cold, flat, lethal eyes.
I eat once a day.
Lucky said.
Privately.
Tea, though?
I'm not thirsty.
And it strode away. Author's notes. With everything that's going on, Tansy hasn't had the bandwidth to ask herself exactly when Lucky had time to do a complete cross-reference study on tiny round fauna, giving it only gained computer access that morning. Among the many, many things she hasn't figured about Lucky is that the startling amount of multitasking it's doing at any given time. I imagine that any fauna rating system that was adapted from a customer satisfaction survey that Lucky once saw, it did not usually operate in situations where customer satisfaction was a factor, and included characters other than tininess and roundness, such as zoominess and big eyes, out there trying to invent the concept of cuteness from first principles. Every utopian community falls a little bit short of being utopian, and sometimes that isn't even their fault. Tansy's internalized belief that she would be a valuable person if she was an engineer who could keep the generators running, well, that sort of thing crops up in an environment where, or has previously been, in immediate life and death matter to keep the generators running. Tansy had asked herself, in a sort of space where she knows she's an essential personnel, this situation, and she must keep it together, but she also feels that she's somehow less important essential personnel. Most utopian communities also have a kind of dippy idea that never lands. In this case, it's trying to put everyone on a base 12 system. The founders actually may have made a point that 12 divides a lot more usefully than 10 does, that timekeeping usually already exists in 12s, etc., but it was never going to happen, for the same reason that decimalized time has never caught on. Changing your math is hard. Like any community, the Asperians have their little quirks from their history. Like any isolated community, they have things that were hotly debated topics and extremely taken seriously, until the outsiders came and the world fell apart. And whatever they're using, inches and feet, became utterly irrelevant in the face of "we're going to die today." It's probably worth noting, just because it causes a little confusion, Tansy is related to several kids on the size of the colony. Because it's an Asperian custom to address teachers as aunt or nettle or uncle, the rationale is that it's not strongly authoritarian while still carrying the inherent implication that this is an adult you should listen to when they tell you to stop doing something. Reader's notes. Yay! I recorded this in 2 sessions. It's amazing. I posted the first session on the Discord New Thailand server if you wanted to check that out. I know my views get like 0 views, and I don't care because I'm making them for my friends, and they seem to enjoy them. Oh, if you hear any random rustling, that's most likely my chair or the pillow that I'm putting my microphone on today, or the rain. It randomly started raining for like 10 minutes when I was recording today. So weird. So it also was mildly less echoey because I am on a pillow right now, and the pillow is taking a lot of the echo. I realized that was making my audio quality worse in comparison to others. Okay, what was I gonna say? Ooh, I do have bloopers. Bye bye. Bloopers, mostly from me. It's funny because I didn't get any help this chapter. About the kitchen, I eat once a day. What the fuck? Stupid. Joking. Stupid. No,